So of course a lot of people ask me how many Germans died here because of such an explosion. 19 such explosions. I must say, not so many. They were dazed because of the shock wave. But not so many soldiers died here. The Germans in the First World War, they manned not very heavily their first lines. They were waiting in the second lines and in the third lines. And in the beginning, especially in the beginning of the war, when the British attacked with a loud hooray, they entered the first lines, they were exhausted, and then the Germans counterattacked. And they pushed the British back to the starting lines. That happened more or less during the whole war. So also here, they didn't man their first lines very heavily. So how many, I always say, perhaps nobody knows, but perhaps here are killed between 50 and 100 Germans, not more than that. Surely not more than that. So of course the explosion here, the shockwave, a lot of, because we are in 1917, we are in 1917, that is after the Battle of the Somme here. And it's after the Battle of Arras in June 1917. We have already better tactics, better guns, and everything is better. We have helmets, in 14 no helmets. So we have everything here, are very good soldiers, very good organized. And the Germans, they had a new tactic. They put in front of their lines machine gun positions. We call that defense in depth. So if you are mowing a machine with a machine gun, and you must know, I will stay a little bit further there. So you are staying on a height, and normally you are thinking, I will, in the First World War, machine guns are very important. They are very important. And you are mowing with your machine gun against an attacking, battalion. Only 15 or 10% soldiers are hit by a bullet. What you have to do is that you have to put a machine gun left, a machine gun right, and you have to use enfiladed fire. And then you have 65% of the battalion hit. So nowadays in the army, some of you were in the army, you know it's normal, but in 1914 it was not normal. They were using that first and they were doing that only 15%. But in 1917 we know better, and we had the Germans, they brought machine guns in front of their first lines and they were using enfiladed fire. And that is the reason that in 1917, Passchendaele, so many soldiers died because of this enfiladed fire of the machine guns. That didn't happen in the Somme. It's completely different. In the Somme, no enfiladed fire of defense in depth. I'm jumping from one thing I have in my head to another thing. So if you have questions, you can ask me. If you have questions, you can ask me, because I have to make a choice what I'm telling. Okay? So don't hesitate. If you have a question, there are no stupid questions. All very good questions. Okay? So that's the pool of peace nowadays, because pool of peace, the 36th and the 16th Division, purchased by Tokkage movement, that it's in Popperingen. That is Talbot House, Popperingen. Tokkage movement, and they said we will purchase that crater to preserve it in future. The same happened to Loch Nagar crater in the Somme. That is more or less the same size, less ammunition, because the underground in the Somme is chalk, not clay. You need less ammunition. Now, do you have questions? No.
Redmond.
Yeah, William Redmond.
Yeah, was a nationalist, yeah.
A what?
Was a Catholic, yeah.
Yes, Catholic.
And he was looked after by
A
Protestant.
stretcher bearer
Yeah.
from the Ulster Division.
How well known is that?
Sorry?
How well known is that?
How, if it's known? Yeah, it's known, yeah. But we are explaining that all the time, eh? So, but they don't know if you know it. That is a problem, huh? But that's the symbol of for peace. That's the symbol of peace. That's the reason that Paddy Hart, you know Paddy Hart, Member of Parliament, Northern Ireland, eh? I think he died because a few years ago he had cancer.
Paddy House, south of Ireland. South of Ireland.
South of Ireland, okay then, but together with the Member of Parliament of Northern Ireland, eh? So because when they opened it, I had a lot of people here from Northern Ireland, and they made the stones for it, for the monument where we are going to, and so on and so on. So they did it together. Eh? So Paddy Hart's Southern Ireland. Southern Ireland, okay then. So, but that is the reason that they made that monument where we are going now, the Round Tower. How well is it known? It's normally it's already, let us say, 25 years ago, nobody talked about that. But nowadays, if I have Irish visitors, I always tell them, if I have other visitors and we are going to the Round Tower, I talk about that. By the way, you can do the same thing as I did. In the First World War, I wasn't there, too young. And I bought hundreds and hundreds of books. Nowadays my wife says it's enough, books enough, no place enough. You can do the same thing as I do nowadays. Take your tablet, take your tablet, take your computer at home, and put in what I'm telling. You can read until the end of your life. So many sites about the First World War. The history of the Ulster Division. WW1, Google, you can read everything about it. So that's very, very interesting.
Have the time to go to that small cemetery over there?
You like to go there?
Because there's a man in it from Kilkeel where we come from.
Okay, we go.
We go there. Yeah, we go.